You've shared your idea with investors. Maybe you've thrown up a website or launched your product. Maybe your product has been on sale for 2 years. And then someone comes along and says, you've blown your patent rights. Is it really too late to get a patent? Maybe not. In this video, I want to talk about what options you might have if you've already gone public with your invention, but still want to get a patent. Hi, my name is Carr Ferrell. I'm a Silicon Valley patent and intellectual property attorney. Welcome back to my channel. Before examining legal theories as to why patent protection might still be available even after public disclosure, let's first start by looking at the rule. In the United States, there's a 12-month grace period between the time that you disclose your invention to the public and that point at which a patent application must be on file. In many foreign jurisdictions, there is no grace period. You must file your patent application before a public disclosure. Now, if that were the whole story, this would be a pretty short video. So let's start by taking a look at what is meant by a public disclosure. For purposes of starting the 12-month clock ticking in the United States, there are really two elements to consider when thinking about public disclosure. The first is enablement, and the second is secrecy. Enablement is a little tricky. Enablement means that you've disclosed enough of the information that one of ordinary skill in the art would be able to practice the invention if they had access to this information. If you sell a product, or offer to sell the product, or use the product in public, this would be considered a public disclosure. Now, it becomes a little more tricky if all you've done is launched a website with a photo of the product containing your invention, because this photo may or may not sufficiently describe your invention. Likewise, a press release announcing a future product may not sufficiently describe your invention in a way that one of ordinary skill in the art could practice it. A second consideration when thinking of public disclosure is that of secrecy. The disclosure may not have been public at all, but rather made pursuant to a non-disclosure agreement or an implicit requirement of confidentiality. Where having a non-disclosure agreement is pretty cut and dry, this concept of implied confidentiality is a little more complicated. Generally, if you present your invention to an investor, an angel investor or venture capital investor, the investors usually will not sign a non-disclosure agreement because they just meet with so many different inventors that they don't want to get tied up managing the NDA contract or be constrained in their discussion of the investment with others. So with investors, we often don't have that implied confidentiality. However, if you have a relationship with a banker, that might be different. Discussing your invention with a banker may be covered by this rubric of implied confidentiality. In general, it's better to have a non-disclosure agreement when discussing your invention prior to having filed your patent application on the technology. By the way, before I forget, I'll put a link to a mutual non-disclosure agreement in the description section below. Now, it's always better to have your attorney take a look at any contract that you sign, but this is an example of a mutual non-disclosure agreement that I use in my practice. Now, once a public disclosure occurs, you have this 12-month grace period in the United States to get your patent application on file. This can be a provisional patent application, or this can be a utility application. I have another video that I've done that describes this grace period in detail, and I'll put a link to it in the description section below. The general rule, however, is that once you publicly disclose your invention, you have 12 months to get your U.S. patent application on file. If you intend to file a foreign patent application on your invention, however, you need to get your application on file, either a U.S. application or your foreign application, on file prior to the public disclosure. Now we get to the tricky stuff. There's been an oh dear me, and the 12-month grace period has passed without getting your patent application on file. Now, there may be some alternative legal theories, some workarounds if the 12-month grace period has been blown. But before we look at these, it's super important to make sure that this grace period really has passed. If it's a publication that's causing the problem, go back and take a careful look at the publication and make sure that the publication was truly enabling, that it really did teach one of ordinary skill in the art how to practice your invention. It may be that there just wasn't enough information in the publication to blow your bar date. Let's say your bar date, that 12-month grace period, has been passed. There's no question. You've been on sale for more than 12 months. You've lost the bar date and you're not entitled to file a patent application based on that blown bar date. So what do? Well, one option is to take a look at improvements that you've made in your invention since the first public disclosure or the first offer for sale. What improvements have you made since then? What changes have you made? Maybe it's software that you've released some new revisions with some new features. Or perhaps it's a mechanical system that just has additional capability or new functionality. This new capability, this new functionality may itself be separately patentable. So if you have passed the 12-month period since the introduction of your product, look at improvements and revisions as a possible area to recapture protection on your product. Now, another legal theory that you might consider and might apply to you if your 12-month grace period has passed is something called the experimental use doctrine. The experimental use doctrine is a fairly narrow, very fact-specific legal exception to the 12-month bar. The experimental use doctrine applies when it's necessary that an invention be used in public in order to prove that it works and that it's ready for patenting. The leading Supreme Court case on the experimental use doctrine is the City of Elizabeth versus the American Nicholson Pavement Company, decided in 1877. The technology involved a method for building a road surface by tiling together blocks of wood over prepared substrate. This so-called Nicholson pavement was thought to be more durable and provide sure footing for horses, and also to provide a quiet surface for horses to travel across. The Nicholson Pavement Company started by building a short 75-foot strip of public roadway back in the late 1840s. And then they filed a patent application on their pavement surface about 6 years later. The patent issued, and then some years later, the City of Elizabeth, New Jersey hired a contractor to build a roadway using this Nicholson pavement technique. American Pavement sued the City of Elizabeth for patent infringement, and after some years, the case worked its way up to the Supreme Court. The City of Elizabeth argued that the patent was invalid, that too much time had passed from the first public construction and use of the roadway to the filing of the patent application some years later. American Nicholson, on the other hand, argued that there was no other way to determine whether their roadway actually worked without building it and having it tested by the public. Since durability was an important feature of this new road surface, Nicholson argued that it took years of multiple changes of seasons and lots of road traffic to really test to make sure that the road surface was durable. And the Supreme Court was persuaded by the facts of the case, finding for Nicholson, pointing out the testimony that almost daily he walked the surface, tapping the road surface with his cane, inspecting the road surface and wear, and asking frequently whether passerbys liked the new road surface. Now, although this experimental use doctrine can be a powerful exception to the 12-month grace period, it's very fact-dependent and narrowly construed with respect to the facts. If you're going to rely on the experimental use doctrine, it's important to discuss this with your patent attorney first. Okay, that's really all I have to say today about exceptions to the 12-month grace period. If you're having problems with your 12-month grace period and you'd like to get together for a consultation, you can reach me at the email address below. Also, don't forget there's a free mutual NDA available for you in the description section. Just click the link, we'd be happy to send you a copy. And as always, if you need help with your company's patent portfolio or your company's patent strategy, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, I'll see you on the next video.